Okay, let's see how this looks. And let's see. Okay. Yeah, sorry for the delay on the stream. Usually I start at 10 a.m. But the thing I'm working on today involves a lot of not Godot, much more Python with Tesseract tying into Tesseract, so that needs to be installed, and then OpenCV available. And so I got that all. I was working on my MacBook since that's typically where I can do a lot of my typical like dev work that's more like Python web app work. I tried moving this over to the Windows machine this morning, and just getting Python environments set up in Windows and my Vim setup over there is not good, and I wasted a bunch of time trying to get that working, and ultimately I decided, hey, maybe I should just try to get my streaming set up working on the MacBook instead. So that's what I went with. If the stream is bad today, we'll figure it out from there. This machine isn't as powerful as the Windows machine, but it does have my Tmux and Vim set up the way I like it, and also like I have the whole virtual environment set up for the current work that I'm doing. So last time I streamed, the last thing that we were working on was trying to get, I guess we kind of hit a wall where the next thing was going to be getting OCR quality up. So I'm able to use the pass-through cameras on the VR headset to get images off of the camera, take still pictures of books, and then I did start OCRing them, terrible quality. So then I started looking into how can I boost the performance there. And that's what I started on Friday. So I did some dev on that. Actually tried to, I don't want to say vibe code it, but I tried to use an AI to code most of it for me. And that did not go well. It generated a bunch of code that all looked good, but it had tons of issues. So I kind of did still use an AI, but I kind of bounced back and forth between having the AI code up very like discrete, small, focused bits of the code for me. And then I started tying them together. And then as a part of that, actually, I ended up going back and redoing a bunch of the research I had done before on this. And this is where, I was reminded of, hey, things that are going to improve the quality of OCR. We've got binarization, dilation, erosion, de-skewing, de-warping, dealing with borders, alpha channels with PNGs apparently can be an issue. So I wrote down a bunch of things there, as well as common OCR errors you're going to get anyway. So I becomes 1, F becomes T. Apparently those are just common things that'll just happen regardless. So I'm kind of using this as a dumping ground for those common issues that I'll have to look out for. I'm tempted to say I could solve those with spell checker, but given most books that I've read, a lot of authors love to write words and sentences that are either in plain English or use words that aren't in the dictionary. So I don't know if we would actually be able to auto fix things like this, but that's a future problem. Right now, after doing a bunch of research, I then took a crack. I actually got things pretty decently working. I'll show that off in a second. But ultimately, I think what I figured out is like, here's the process I want to go through. Since I'm taking images with the VR headset of a book in front of you, there's going to be a lot of background. That background is going to be a room. So I think this part's still fuzzy. This is the part that I actually have working right now, and I got this working on Friday. It's a little kludgy. It's a little ugly the way it's implemented. Architecturally, I don't love it either. So I may rewrite this. And the rest of this we're going to try to do today, I think. But basically, taking the middle of the image. Well, we could take the middle of the image, sample 5% of the pixels, and then reduce the bit depth to bucket those pixels by color, and then use frequency to determine what is likely the background of the book. So let's assume that the book is in the middle. If we take 50% of the image, but just the middle 50%, that should largely be dominated by the book, by a book that a user's looking at. So that would be in theory. I'm doing a hackier version of this right now where I'm kind of just naively using OpenCV to try to find, I guess I'm using OpenCV to find the text, and then from there I'm guessing as to where the boundaries of the book are. It's kind of guessing. So start with a bounding box covering the middle 25% of the image. This is my other thought. And then grow that box in all directions until the percentage of pixels differ greatly from the computed background threshold from here. So in theory, these two steps together would get you just the book and nothing else. And then, you know, do some extra cropping just to be safe, because OCR will perform better if you've done that. Do a bounding box around the text. Oh, actually, I think this was... Yeah, maybe not. Maybe this might not be needed. But do the bounding box around the text. Fix skew and dewarping, which this is interesting. So I finally found some many examples, but this seemed to be the best one that does both de-skewing and dewarping in one shot. So I might try to do this today. This is kind of today's goal. So finish fixing, finish OpenCV image pre-processing. All right, and then is it not like that? Fine, doesn't like the pre-dash, whatever. Let's see. Okay, so on Thursday, get several book images off of headset. So we did that. Run Tesseract locally, did that. Crop images in multiple ways, didn't do that. Kind of just went right to OpenCV. I think I kind of just concluded that was going to be the right thing to do. Grayscale and or black white. Tesseract actually does that for you. And then deskew, dewarp, I was doing some research into that. So let's go with... So today, what are we going to do? Rerun Friday's code. Convert deskew example to OpenCV. Implement deskew dewarp. All right, that should be good. Python -m run, and that should give us our... Yeah, so originally, I guess when I was processing these images, so this is a example of a really good image. So this is an image taken with my camera and just kind of pointed at a page. It's actually a high-res image, higher than what we would get from the VR headset. Because with the VR headset right now, we're just grabbing still images off a video feed, and those are going to be lower quality. So basically, if it doesn't work well for this, it's not going to work well for anything. And so I started doing some processing. Here's like me trying to get a bounding box around it. For whatever reason, it didn't work. I think it got a lot of confusion from the wood grain behind it. Excuse me. And then here's, you know, some of the other things that it does. And you can see like this is binarization, where it's basically taking everything in the image and saying everything has to either be white or black given a given threshold. And you can see, depending on how you set that threshold here in this upper left-hand corner, we're kind of losing some quality because it's saying this stuff is kind of closer to the white than the dark. And then down here, we're kind of getting some bleeding. And so you clean up the image first, then do binarization. And do the cropping. You can see, so here's the starting image, here's the cropped image. It's cropping it based off of this shape. And you can see we cut off and he. Not the best, right? So I went through a couple of iterations of that. And let me go review this. Okay, so this is that same kind of crop. Yeah, this is highlighting, kind of showing what's in or out based on different thresholds. Yeah, it was like same bounding box effectively. Actually, I think I just added a bunch of log statements to the OpenCV steps. And I think this version of it was largely coded by AI. So I asked Claude to do this for me. And this is where Claude was great at adding log statements. So when I said, hey, generate test images where we highlight, the results of the current step in the process so that I can visually see what's working and not working, it was great at doing that piece. But then when it came to like, okay, now fix it, it just wasn't great at that. So I had to do that myself. And I think, so I slowly got things better. So here we can see like now it's actually just detecting all the text. So my thought was, if we're able to detect all the text, let's just put a bounding box around it. But you're going to see a problem here. We've got some green up here, up there, up here, and down here. Those are all considered text as far as the detection was concerned. So we still kind of end up with the same problem. Although this binarization has other problems with it. And I think 2 more versions before I got to a version that I kind of liked. Yeah, this one was too zoomed in. And then I think I just said, like, this actually kind of worked. And then I said, okay, let's just be a little more conservative on the bounding box. And when I did that, here was the text it found. And then here's what we highlighted. And so that's pretty perfect. The biggest issues now is you've got warping up here. So as you can see, the line kind of curves. And that's going to be a problem. Tesseract is going to have some trouble there. And then there is going to be some skew as well. Like this is not going to be perfectly straight either. So ideally we want to fix that. So that's what worked for that Harry Potter page. Then I went down some experiments to get it to work for another book. So this book, as you can see, it's being held by a single hand. We have a different background. This one's got a lot of skew to it, a lot more than the other one, because the previous image, the book was held flat. This one's not. And it still did a decent job of finding all the text, but it found a lot of artifacts in the background that it thought were text. And so here's like the bounding box it kind of comes up with for all that. And then I told it to like, this is the tricky, sneaky thing that I did that I don't really love. And I'm going to try to architect better, which I said, hey, let's just put a bounding box around like 80% of, if each of these little green things is a region, or I forget what the term for it is. I'll have to look it in the code. So there's like 1,700 of them. But you can see this one's bigger. So I said, okay, well, how about we just draw a bounding box around 90% of these little things that we found. And when I do that, it came up with this box, which was pretty good. And then when I crop it, like that's actually pretty decent. Like that got in there pretty well. Oh wait, that wasn't even the final one though. So that was okay. And then I tried to improve it further. No, that looks just as bad. Okay, I thought I had a better version of it. I thought it actually had succeeded at getting like the whole thing. Maybe it was this version. So this one worked well for all books. So I had like a third image. Okay, right. So this is the current version of the code that I have. So it finds the text well. This is the bounding box it draws around for this. So actually, this is pretty cool that it gets like the footer page number as well as the title. And then I could then conservatively tell it, hey, go out a little bit, because books are going to have this white space as the border. So go out a bit more. And so this is that. I say, okay, now that we've got a box around our text, let's make that a rectangular box that encompasses everything, which it does. As you can see, there's a little bit of cutoff. But then I tell it, okay, now, again, to be tricky to get it to work, let's be a little conservative, include a little bit up, down, left, and right. And this is what it ended up with. So it's kind of the final version for that. for book number 2. Here we go. Finds the text. I actually did some things. You can see we're not finding as much stuff in the background, so I tweaked the sensitivity a bit. But if you look closely, you'll see there's a ton of little green down here. So it is finding lots of little stuff, but still, it's a lot better than it was. And then that's the bounding box. You can see like this corner is being pulled down here because of a bunch of artifacts it's finding down there. But then again, when I tell it to do a box around most of the stuff we found, we get a box that's pretty good. And then when we crop, we basically have everything. I mean, we almost have this word cut off over here, but not quite. It's like pretty much there. And then version 3, which is an image that's actually pulled off of the MetaQuest 3 headset for a pass-through camera. This is one I took last week. You can see we got some like tearing over here, and the lighting actually, come to think of it, the lighting actually is pretty terrible on this image. I think when using this app, when I finally get things working, I'm gonna have to advise people to actually like have some decent lighting. So this is readable to me, which means if it's readable to me with some cleanup, it should be readable to Tesseract. This is not down here. So I'm gonna guess that no matter what I do, like there's no cleaning this up down here on the right. That said, like I think well, that's not true. I might be able to clean things up enough for it to work, but that's what we're gonna try to figure out today, hopefully. So this is all the things that the text. You can still see, again, it finds artifacts in the background that it thinks might be text. We draw a bounding box, which is quite goofy and weird, but still, it's like the meat of the middle. Draw the box around it, and then when we crop it, again, some things are cut off, but could be a lot worse. So I decided to table that and not go too much further down that road and start doing some research. And the research I did led me to, what is this? No, I don't want to authorize Notion. Thank you. There we go. I went back and I reread a lot of Tesseract's documentation on improving quality. They also link off to a bunch of resources. I had done some searching on my own. I'd found some other articles that I reread, different people solving different problems. Ultimately, a lot of these things kind of circled back onto each other, and I found that even sources that I found independently of people solving this problem, a lot of them ultimately ended up pointing back to the same kind of resources. So there's one here that I think is really promising, and it's this one here. In fact, if we look at the blog post that he wrote. So he kind of wanted to solve the Star Wars problem, which is you've got the text going away from you. So that's a lot of skew. So there's a lot of skew here. And I guess there's also some warping as well, right? Because it's got, is there warping? I think he goes into that though. So he wanted to be able to take something like this and get it to map pretty neatly, where you can see the bottom of the N here is close to the bottom of the Y, which Tesseract would do a lot better solving that than it would solving this. This it would have trouble with. And he wanted to solve the Star Wars problem, and then he was looking into like signs that are taken from an angle. So again, when you take a picture at an angle, the S at the end here is going to be larger than the S at the start here. And, there's going to be all sorts of problems. So he did a lot of work on that. And, figuring out how to solve this problem. And let's see what else. What else is worth mentioning? I think he has another blog post that he wrote. In any case, I think this could be the thing I'm looking for. So, actually, let me look at his other Let me just confirm. So he had... I think I had it in my notes here, right? So this one too. Right, this is what I was looking for. So in this one, he wanted to take a warped page like this, take an image like this, and then flatten it out. And so again, he goes through the same kind of solving for warping type thing. And then ultimately ends up, you know, fixing the text. So you can take a picture of a book like that and flatten it. Yeah, so I wonder if I should be looking at, let me organize things a little bit. It's probably the page dewarp. Actually, he probably has a link to it here, right? Well, page dewarp. This one's the same as this one, right? Yep. Okay. So this repo goes with this blog post. This repo goes with this one. So what are the dates on these? This is August of 2016, October 2016. So I do wonder if this might be the better one. Now he's doing it with Python. And let's see here. So his requirements are SciPy and matplotlib. What is this unproject text? I don't know what that is. I would ideally like to do this with only OpenCV, because then I should be able to convert that to that does not seem to be a thing. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to see if we can just get this running, maybe, and see if that works, and then by hand I can try to re-implement some of these things. So in this one, he's got several Python files here. Oh, unprojecttext.py. Why is that in your requirements file? That seems a little odd. He's got from future print function. Ooh, this is old. This is old code. Yeah, like SciPy and matplotlib, I would like to not do either. Matplotlib I shouldn't need. I'm guessing just wherever he uses that is just for displaying. Or I could just rip it out and just not do it, basically. Okay, so this code's a little bit dated. And he doesn't really say which Python version he's using. I guess to be fair, both of these are from 9 years ago. So I would want to, like the APIs might be different, OpenCV might be different. So I'd have to say, like one, we got to convert it up to Python 3.13 and all, like, or the latest versions of all these libraries. And then, yeah, and then try to get it so it's just Tesseract and OpenCV so that I can re-implement this in C++ and get it running there. Which maybe I should try to take the current version of what I have and implement it that way. I was thinking about trying to use Claude to try to do that for me. Like if I give it Python code, which I have, which right now, again, this is the code that a lot of this I wrote, a lot of it Claude wrote, but this is now almost 500 lines of code. A lot of it is garbage print statements and things, but still, there's a lot of lines of code here. Some of it's duplicative, some of it is unnecessary. So I wonder how much of this can be converted to C++. Yeah, and then I had to do a bunch of tweaking of thresholds and things to try to get it dialed in. So I guess that's the question of with NumPy. Well, NumPy under the hood is largely C++. So most likely anything I'm doing, if we do, well, np / dot. Yeah, so I don't know what this VStack is. Mean, array, sort. Yeah, there might just have to be like C++ implement, like under the hood NumPy uses C++. So in theory, an AI tool should be able to say, well, look, if you're doing a NumPy VStack, here is the version of that would be C++. Of course, the problem will always be if it's 95% the way there, 95 is not 100%, so I could end up with weird behavior. It's worth a shot though. Or again, I may have to like seriously refactor this code and like really gut it down to the bare minimums of what it needs to do while still working, and then convert it to C++. All right, let me think here. What's the path forward? I did originally like this one. This dewarping one seems a little simpler. Page dewarp. I guess for some reason he like, I don't know, maybe that's, I don't remember having to do that ever with Python. Maybe that's an old thing. Image. But he's got, what is derived cubic? Okay, just some math functions, that's fine. And then you know, just 1,000 lines of code. He's got image. A cubic sheet model. Yeah, I don't want SciPy. Oh yes, and what is the licensing for this? He's got it under MIT license. Right. Yeah. So this is a pretty simple implementation. All right, where do I begin? Let me take a breather for a second. Thinking. Oh, that's funny that it failed to run this. Oh, you know why? Right. Yeah, that's gotta be a problem. To have like, there's no C drive, right? Users, dev, streaming, yeah. Why did it take that long for it to fail? Maybe it sleeps first and then it crashes. Would have hoped it would have crashed immediately and then I would have noticed it. All right. Yeah, let me not worry. Let's not worry about getting into C++ just yet. Let's worry about it working in Python, just running off of images I've taken. Yeah, okay. Looks like it was working now. Just checking the feed. Yep, cool. Hold on another second. Thinking. Oh, hold on. Okay, fine. Whatever. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Let me, one more second. Okay. So maybe I will, let me take another look at this. For some reason I thought this would be the better approach. To be fair, like this is the later approach. And he does take, but it's all pretty flat. He's not dealing with that's unprojecting text. Maybe I'll focus on this, page dewarp. Because that should handle both. And there's less code here too. Okay, let's give that a shot. Let's see what an AI does with it. Here is a file named what is it? Derive cubic.py. Please just remember it, I guess. I don't know. I'm still new to prompting somewhat. Just remember it as my next message will, no, okay. Let's, here are two files named Derive Cubic and what's the other one? Page dewarp. .py. I would like to update this code to newer versions of Python and OpenCV. I would also like to remove well, no, let's just not do that. Let's give that a shot. I'll help you modernize this code for newer versions of Python and OpenCV. The main issues are related to Python 2 to 3 migration. Oh, this is Python 2? Didn't even notice. I mean, I guess that makes sense given the age. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, pill definitely changed at some point. Yeah, it's been a while since I have done Python 2, so it's hard for me to say what the telltale signs are. But Claude seems to know. And then what else is it saying? OpenCV API changes. All right, so actually, in theory, I should be able to take those. Maybe I'll clone this down as its own repo and see if I can just run it against his example images. Because he's got example input here. Yeah. So let me just verify that I can run it against his example. Which means clone. Let's clone that down. New tmux on page dewarp. Give that a second. His requirements. Okay. pipenv install. Well, numpy. Let's do this. Move, delete, yes. This should just default to 313, I would think. Yeah, 313. If I hit refresh, now we've got a pip file. Cool. And if I switch back over to this one, what do we got? I've got, oh yeah, OpenCV headless. Then install OpenCV headless. load that file. Cool. And then append shell, drop into a shell for that. Okay, what are you saying? Max length exceeded. Yeah, I probably need to start paying for this, shouldn't I? The max length for a message. Damn it. Okay. Well, let's just try to run it, shall we? So it's funny, he's saying, oh right, because he's got, okay, yeah, he's got that opening line, so you should be able to just do page dwarp.py. We'll do example images, we'll do Boston Cookbook A. Command not found, right, so I thought so. Print, yeah. Okay. I don't really want to migrate his file myself. Let me see here. Yeah, I don't want to do this because it's not just going to be that. It's going to be everything else. Annoying. All right, let me just try with basic. Let's do a new message. Please migrate this file to Python let's go 312. OpenCV function updates. Yeah, so the question is it gonna complain because there's too many lines of output? In which case I may need to like put a credit card on my account or something. Pause streaming while I go do that. Yeah, let's give it a shot. See what it does. I get the feeling it'll maybe get further than it did last time because I've asked it to do less things in one shot. But it's probably not going to be happy. And I wonder how much of this code is actually needed versus how much of it can just be gutted. Okay, so what else can I do? Yeah, and the one thing I haven't done is this whole like bit of research on Tesseract. performing better if the height of capital letters is around 30 pixels. Apparently that's like optimal for Tesseract. Any lower than that, any smaller than that, it'll have trouble with recognition. Any bigger than that, and it starts to have trouble, but I mean, it's not too bad, but 30 is ideal. So I would like to figure out how to measure DPI, and then it sounds like you can rescale the image to get the DPI dialed in right for the character height, I guess. I'm not going to worry about that just yet. Binarization, I'm going to leave that to Tesseract to do for me, although I may change. So it says it defaults to Otsu algorithm. OpenCV's docs talk about doing Otsu after Gaussian filtering. And where was that? Yeah. So if you just did Otsu, you'd go from this to that, which is pretty good. But if you do Gaussian filter and then Otsu, you end up with like perfect. So I wonder if there's a way for me to change to basically maybe just tell, maybe there's a way to tell Tesseract, hey, like, don't even bother. Like, I'll do it myself. Disable your binarization because I'm going to give you an image that's already, that I've already done that for. So then maybe I can handle all this myself in OpenCV and then hand it a perfect image for it to run its stuff on. Yeah. How are you getting along? Yeah, see, it kind of timed out. But did get most of it though. So if I take all that, and then we got down to what? Remap image. Okay, 780. Yeah, I don't know. I used to know short key for that, and I don't anymore, apparently. Okay, if I cut that. No, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have hit paste just yet. Oh no. This is gonna hang. That's a lot of text to paste. Abort, abort. I wonder if it's gonna crash. Darn it, I needed to like tell it to go into paste mode because otherwise it's gonna add a bunch of extra tabs and spaces and ugliness. This is painful and slow. The fun part of development. Oh, come on, come on. I wish there was an abort command for this. It's just gonna hang now. God damn it. Okay. All right, what do I do? Let me go back to let's go back to a little more research while I wait for that to finish crashing on me. So I probably need to add this to my, yeah, let me add this to my list. So in terms of the actual steps, pipeline steps for processing these images, rescale image to is it? Yeah, sure. 30 pixels at, where was the DPI? 300 DPI. And then I should do maybe like skip Tesseract binarization. And then do Gaussian plus Otsu in OpenCV during preprocess. So if I do that, if I do all that, now it's possible, again, if I implement the de-skewing, de-warping stuff, he may do that for me. Again, in his research, like his program in theory spits this out. And that looks pretty clean to me. So he may already do some of that. I may have to then go alter his code because he may just do Otsu straight up. Yep, okay, finished. Let's undo. Ah! I did that again. Okay, fine. Let's go down to 700 something. There we go. Cut. That's right. Let's go back over here. Got my tabs all messed up. Where the heck am I? Here we are. Command C. And then, yeah. Set paste. Then I paste. There we go. Now it takes 2 seconds and set no paste for the paste mode. Okay, and then we've got the remap stuff, which would need to be, how close are we? Not bad. Yeah, so I would just need to update this logic here, which if I just do that quickly manually myself for the print statements, I'll probably get some sort of other error, but at least it'll be most of the way there. I don't want to do that. Okay, let me think here. Can I just like stumble my way through to this? Yeah, where's the remap? That's all I had to do is this here. So please upgrade this Python logic. Am I typing right now? From Python 2 to Python 3.12. It probably knows about 3.13, but might as well. All right, this should take only a second. Okay, so yeah, it's running out of size. It's hitting size limits. I don't know if that is solvable by paying for it. I probably should just start paying for it. And then also I did see something, an article I tagged, where I could pull it in to have it, like, task it to do things for me on GitHub and just have it Now I'm out of free messages until 5 p.m. Sweet. Yeah. Let's go up to I'm always forgetting where I am. Okay. And then we got to set paste. Set no paste. Write it. And then I wonder if this is going to run now. I may get like an API error with OpenCV being on the wrong version or something. If I do a get status-s. Okay, so it's doing its thing. Let me see here. Okay. I mean, it's running and not hey, there we go. No module named pill. I don't really want to install pillow. Am I using that over here? Tesseract may have pulled it in with it. Yeah. Okay, fine. Pip and install pillow. That was a long time before it threw that error, though. SciPy. I don't want to install. I mean, fine, I guess. Pip and well. Let me go take a look at SciPy, because that could be a beast, and I don't necessarily want that. IPI. Homepage. I just wanted the code. Here's the source. There we go. SciPy is pretty beefy, right? What's their project.tom will look like? So it needs Python. Yeah, this feels like now I'm getting into like territory of things I don't want. Optimize. What does SciPy.optimize do? Fine, let me just try to install it. User guide. Yeah, but how do I just install it? No, that's developer guide. Okay. Depends on your preferred workflow. Project-based. Okay, so it could... So, that's cool that they're using UV. Okay, so I should be able to just install it then. Although it might take a bit, because it's probably pretty heavy. And then what about his other file? I don't think his other file was that bad. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably get a error about SymPy missing and matplotlib missing. Print statement, got a single print statement to fix. Is he even using this? Derive. I wonder. Where's his README? So he has derive cubic here, but I don't see him calling it anywhere. So it's possible this file isn't used, which means it's possible matplotlib isn't needed. All right, let's try it again. All right, while that runs, yeah, I don't really care about SciPy. What are my options for Claude? 17 a month billed annually, which comes out to 170 plus 40. 210 and tax, kind of, basically. So 200 some bucks a year. Yeah, I'll think about it. It might be worth it for me, given my usage as of late. All right, so it did some things. Loaded the image. So it loaded the image and then resized it. That's interesting. Got 38 spans with 500 points. Optimizing 600 parameters. Final objective is, got page dims, output will be. Gotcha, okay, so it's writing an output that's like smaller than the original. So this resize here is probably just for an initial pass to like basically de-res the image so that it can scan it more efficiently for what it's looking for. Okay, so it's an OpenCV error. I figured this was going to happen. Remap. Remap, which is the section that I didn't get to actually, no, I did convert it. Let's do a git diff. Interesting that this returns fewer arguments now. You know, he got rid of the double slash there, but I think you still need that, right? See, this is... Oh, no. Okay. No, he added a second slash, which would mean do rounding, basically, like drop off the remainder, I think. But the original dev didn't do that, so why did you do that? That's not a Python 2 to Python 3 thing, I don't think. But you're doing it everywhere. Anytime he does division. Okay. Maybe that's like just generally a Python best practice. I know I've used it before. Division slash versus slash slash. I've done it, but like... I don't know if yeah, let's find out. Python 3, yeah, so one of them does rounding. The former is floating point division, the latter is floor division, integer division. Right, so it's just forcing integer division. But how do I know that that is what the developer wanted? All right, whatever. Let's assume that that's the right call. Print statements, print. Yeah, just integer division and print statements seems to be the thing that he's doing. Huh. Okay. That's fine. Where's our error? So we have page dewarp 903, which is our main call. We go 891. Oh, we got close to the end there, didn't we? Oh, remap image, right? Okay. 806. Let's go with the headless OpenCV that I installed. Let's go take a look at its docs and just understand what it's doing and fix it ourselves. Honestly, even if I had Claude available to do this for me, I would still figure this out myself because I don't trust Claude to fix this bug. That's one thing I've kind of learned spending enough time with the AIs recently. Like once it comes, like they're really good at like borrowing super smart code and getting you 80-90% the way there. But then when it comes to like fixing that final like 10%, they'll just start recommending nonsense and telling you that it's right, and it's just not. Even if it works, like it's oftentimes ugly. Okay, what are they saying for the docs here? So installation usage, FAQs, documentation for, okay. The aim of this repository is to provide a means of packaging each new CI builds, manual. Okay, so I think it's not going to be docs. I think they're just going to say, you need to go read the OpenCV docs. Maybe this, well, that's the PyPI docs there. Let me just see some real quick. Okay, how do I, darn it, I gotta block you. Let me take a moment. I thought, come on, Twitch, you have your new stream manager and you're not. Ban. There we go. Okay. Fine, OpenCV. And let's go look at, what are we looking for? Remap. Remapping. Goal. Well, this is a tutorial. What is remapping? Taking pixels from one place in an image and locating them in another position. Okay, to accomplish this. All right, what's the error? So we call this remap call. Error. Assertion failed. Map1.type. in function remap. So we have our image gray, our grayed image. Image x coordinates, image y coordinates, inter cube, border replicate. Okay, so it's probably an issue with either this or this. Yep, fine. Code, Python. Print function. Wow, this must be old code. Wait, hold on. That's annoying. Why did it jump me to an older version? But still, print function. Okay. Remap. So it's doing cv.remap. What is C? Why is it cv2? We have a source. Source is probably image in this case. XY interlinear. Intercubic. Okay. Let's see here. Let's go last year to get the more useful. Since anything older is likely out of date. Okay, so this is those documents. This is 412 dev. What do I have? $411. It should match up. Okay, so this should be correct for those docs. Let me do OpenCV, and then let's do intercubic. Just find docs on that. Also, one thing I can do, since this feels like this is going to be slow, let me just set a breakpoint here and then rerun it. And that'll take a minute, but when I do get there, I should be able to play around with it and just guess and check and figure out a little bit what's going to work. So, okay, here we go. Yeah, intercubic, interlinear are the two ones I've seen mentioned. Down here it is interlinear. So that's probably not the thing it's complaining about. Assertion failed. Map1.type. Okay. And then it was a border replicate. OpenCV. I wish there were like definitions for these. I'm a little surprised that there isn't, to be fair. So this is OpenCV Python. Well, okay, let's go to CV2. Init. No. If I go look at remap, it's not in the code. All right, so maybe it is just a light wrapper around their other code. Yeah, that has OpenCV under the hood that it just kind of like hooks into, I guess. Okay. Wait, OpenCV. I may have to just go search their docs directly. Okay, we hit our breakpoint. So we do dir on cv2.remap. It's probably just going to say, yeah, it's a function. I don't think I can do it like that. Okay, I'll do foo equals cv2.remap image gray. Map 1. So image gray is going to be an image. I mean, if I just do image gray, that's probably going to display, yeah, it's an array of points. Image x chords. Oh, okay. So that's going to be a lot. So if I do foo equals just those. Overload resolution failed. Fine. cv2 dot intercubic. That failed. And I think that was the error I got. Assertion failed. Image x chords dot type. Why did I type C? NumPy ND array object has no attribute type. Did you mean D type? So complain that I didn't pass it a missing required argument map 1, which would have been that's the first thing, that's this. And then when I finally pass it in, I say integer intercubic. Now it's going to complain that its type needs to be of type error. OpenCV 411. Well, that also confirms which version of OpenCV I'm running. Image warp error, assert error. In function remap. If I understand this, it's saying if type 1 is of this type and okay, so it needs to be of one of these two types and map 2 is empty, or it's got to be of this type. Okay. Map 2 is not empty, I don't think. Let's find out. So that's not empty, which means they both have to be of type this type. I don't even know what these are. The value of both 32F is 5. So numerically there's no difference. However, defines the depth of each element of matrix, while defines both the depth of each element and the number of channels. For example. Okay, sure. Cool. Maybe I can search the error. So error, blah, 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 image warp error. Assertion failed. No results found. Remap. All right. So their docs aren't helping me. I mean, the issue seems to be, I'm probably on a older version of CV, OpenCV, or I'm on a newer version than he's used to. So actually, let me do my next little trick. Why is this not working? Oh, geez. Okay. It's like not working, but then it does work. Why? Why is this like hanging like this? Let me just kill that and paste it. All right, GitHub can think about that for a second. I might be able to find good code examples of this being done elsewhere. What is image X? Gotcha. And it's an image points. Ah, okay. Sure. Okay. That's still thinking. And if I go and I look at, did he ever get anybody like commenting on his stuff? Issues. Installation error due to CV2 dependency. Yeah, well, you should be able to figure that out, I feel like. Chinese recognition, implementation, cannot install. Yeah. Interesting. People left a bunch of issues, but never actually. I mean, the guy doesn't seem to have replied really well. Hold on. Page to orb cuts text. I love how people. I mean, I guess this has become a pretty well-known project, at least for OpenCV people. And I don't know, I guess people are treating it like it's a project that should just work. It's like, I think he just put the code out here and was like, hey, look, it goes with a blog post. I'm not, like, he's not maintaining this as a library that you can just use. Interesting that this is the exact line of code. Well, this is saying other defaults, no cropping, no binarization. Okay, so all he did here was change it back to non-gray image. Fine. So that's his fix. Let's see here. So the other thing I could do is go to look at insights for this project. And then let's go look at the dependency graph. Oh, never mind. Network, probably. Because he hasn't touched the code in 9 years. So if I go look at this, this one is more recently updated. Yeah, see, look. He upgraded it. Bump for more modern Python. So it's the same upgrades. Okay, see, he did a lot of like int casting. Yeah, see, so instead of, so I guess this fix was needed, getting rid of that was correct. If I look at what the AI did. So let's go back to our git diff. And yeah, that looked like that was a reasonable change. But then we have like start. And so he just did like a cast to integer, whereas the AI was like, hey, why don't you just do a integer division? I like the integer division better. I'll go with that. Now the question is, did he use an AI to fix this, or did he do it himself? Let's see here. See, he just fixed a bunch of print statements. And I guess test file, fine. So in theory, this just worked for him. I don't buy it though. I thought there would have been at least one fix further down, not just print statements. Okay, so that's all he did was try that type of change. What about you and you? Pi 3. Okay, so you just create a whole new file, which is annoying. But what does your last little section look like? So when you call remap, you're still doing image gray, image x coordinates, intercubic, and border replicate with none. So none of that changed. Okay, that's annoying. That's not a diff. I can't look at yours. This has a few more changes. Well, you kind of gutted it a bit, didn't you? Okay. But did anybody like work on it heavily? This one's got a bunch of changes to it, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and assume this has some more thoughtful updates. Page dewarp custom. If I go to the bottom of this one. Okay, so you've got is curve, which you threw in here. Dewarp. Main. See, your remap is still the same. There's still image points. That have been reshaped the same way. That is quite annoying. Why it doesn't work for me. All right, what are you doing requirements-wise? All right, well, this is frustrating. I'll keep this one around since he actually put yes, looks like he put some effort into it. So this one also might be good to look at. In fact, actually, if I do okay, yeah, none of that changed. This didn't change at all. So if there's an issue somewhere else. That's curious. You know, and there's a number of others. I don't even need to look at the latest. Just anybody who's done a bunch of improvements is going to be worth taking a look at. Border mode replicate avoids black areas in the edges of the image, which later on cause artifacts during. Yeah, I knew that. Okay, yours does look different. And yours was from 2 years ago, so probably not written by AI. So he just got rid of the none. It's basically that, right? So you do image gray, coordinates, intercubic, and then you pass the border mode. Not that that matters, but you know, who knows if it would. But the resizing is still there. You still have your image points. Yeah, and in theory this, I mean, I could pull this down and do a diff of it to see what's different about this one. But this one seems like it's probably still just using a flat requirements file. I think I'm going to stop for lunch in a minute. But if I run that again now, that'll take a moment to run. I don't think that's going to affect anything, that change. But it's worth a look. But anyway, this is all, like, somebody in here probably fixed it. I wouldn't go back that far. I probably would focus in on, I guess this one is October of last year. Yeah. So I would focus on any of them that are in this range. I'm sure within these, somebody has figured out and got things working on a newer version of Python with a newer version of OpenCV. Yeah, and then also this. So we'll go with Python files, and then do I have advanced search here? From these owners and these repositories created on, I might try created on. I mean, it seems like this is being called correctly, so this isn't going to help me searching for this. And looking at their docs is not going to help, because the error is probably somewhere else. It's probably something to do with how the coordinates were created. Yeah, failed again. All right, I'm going to go take a lunch and then come back and look at this with fresh eyes, see if I can figure it out. But yeah, not at all what I wanted to accomplish this morning. But I think the plan is the same. Get his stuff running, and then try to like convert it further, like rip out the things I don't want, and then try to incorporate into what I'm doing, and then cut, rip out a bunch of things that don't make sense, don't matter, and cut further, and then convert it to C++. That would be my hope. All right, well, I may spend more time on this today, but I won't be doing that on this stream. So thank you for hanging out.